Welcome back in, everybody. It's from the Bleachers, broadcasting live from the Finley Hyundai studio. Caden Formaster and Mark Musgrave.
The voice you know.
Welcome in. And guest in the studio with us as well. We have Patrick Amico here with us. Pat.
Thanks, fellas.
Hey.
What's up?
Now you're a friend of the station.
Oh, yeah.
Friend of the show. You've been on here, guest host. We've talked on the telephone before, and we've been when you were at Westminster getting updates from about BYU, Utah, your team, and scouting reports and stuff like that. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll be able to stay home here a little bit. Your new gig is
At Pineview High School.
Pineview High School, the
Pineview
head coach at Pineview High School. What the hell did you get yourself into?
A lot of work, but I'm ready for it, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. I heard you talking, sadly, coming in, that it was kind of a down year for Pineview.
It was, yeah.
There were some teams that did really good, including Coach Wheeland, who just got out of here.
Yep.
And he's on a three-peat right now, and what a way to go.
Amazing.
This year with two of his girls on the team. Such a cool story.
Because you're a golfer, too. Your boys love to golf, and they will be playing high school golf, I'm sure, as well, playing other sports. So you get how difficult that can be, not just to win one championship, but to win back-to-back-to-back.
Especially when you're counting, 4 or 5 scores every single week at state. One girl's off her game, and all of a sudden, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So Coach Wheeland does a good job. He's so positive. He's a great coach. I don't know if he's still coaching with it in town, but anyone that's trying to get their kids into the game, Matt Wheeland's the guy to get a hold of.
Yeah. Just give our listeners and viewers a little background on you. The places you've been coaching wise and then to where you are today.
Yeah, so it all started out with my dad. My dad had an AAU program actually before I was born, and I was his oldest. And he's had guys from play all the way high school, college, NBA, overseas, all over.
Okay.
And then I went and played in junior college for a year at little old Barstow Community College on the way to L.A. Yeah, didn't even know they had a team.
Yeah.
It was.
Barstow is a hole.
And
that's true.
I realized really quick that genetics is real. And I wanted to be a coach, and playing wouldn't last much longer. So I went out with my dad to IMG Academy, and I coached out there with him. And IMG is unbelievable what they have from football, basketball, golf, tennis. You have a prep team out there that's fully paid, and then you can pay to go to school out there as well, which is like $45,000 a year. But you live on campus. You have social media classes. You have food nutrition classes all the way through. And then I came back and took over my dad's program in Vegas, and we had a really successful run. We had over 70 players sign in college and had kids from Florida and Clemson and all the way to Dixie State or Utah Tech. So, and that was a lot of fun. And finally, I thought that would get me into college. And I kept thinking, hey, I've got the star at Oregon. Why am I not getting a job yet?
Yeah.
But I didn't have my degree. So when we moved up here, I finished school at Utah Tech and ran into Mark Pope and Chris Burgess, who's now at Utah, and Coach Pope's obviously at BYU. They were at our game watching our team. We had some local kids, and I said, hey, I'm done with this AAU thing. I'd like to get into college. And Coach Pope said, we might have a GA job for you. This is my first year at UVU. So I went up there thinking I was going to be a grad assistant, and he realized about 2 weeks in, he goes, we're not going to have the money to have a grad assistant.
Oh, geez.
Let me bring you on as like a video coordinator, special assistant to the head coach, and we'll figure it out from there. And Coach Pope was so gracious to me. So after my AAU stuff, I went to Utah Valley for 4 years. We had an unbelievable run. Coach Pope, Coach Daniels, Coach Feger, and Coach Burgess, the coaches that were there, Coach Ordusky, we turned around a program that literally was barely getting by to back-to-back 20-win seasons. We went to the CIT 3 years in a row. First time we had gotten postseason win in school history. Back-to-back winning 25-win seasons, which were both school records. And then all of a sudden, Coach Pope gets the BYU job. And we sat there as assistants, and a couple of them went for the head job at UVU, and they didn't get it. They brought in Mark Madsen.
Okay.
And we all sat in that office that night, and it was, they're making a lot more money than I am at that point, right? And I remember I'm sitting there, and they're like, wow, we just had back-to-back record-setting years, and we're all essentially jobless.
Right.
Like, what is happening?
Yes.
And luckily, a couple of them went over. Coach Burgess and Coach Feger went with Coach Pope to BYU, and so did Coach Ordusky. Coach Daniels, he went up to Weber State, And I got the call to Westminster. They needed a new head assistant. So I went up to West Minnie for 4 years to work for the great Norm Parrish.
Mhm.
And Coach Parrish is at Salt Lake Community College for over 20 years. He's the only coach in the state that has a national championship ring in college.
Wow.
He also has a runner-up that he hurts a lot more than that national
Yeah.
championship, but he got that the next year. He has over 600 wins as a head coach. And he was an assistant at Utah for a while. Then he came over to Westminster. So he was unbelievable to learn from. Two guys that totally do it different. Coach Pope, it's relentless, 24 hours. We're going to be in the gym from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. We're going to be in this office. We're going to be learning. We're going to be watching film. Coach Parrish, we're going to get in there and get our work done and work really hard. But then there's no need to watch the same game over and over and
Right.
over or do the same thing. So get out of here, rest your mind, come in refreshed. So it was a great way to see there's a million ways to skin a cat. I don't think I could have learned from three better men, from my dad to Coach Parrish and Coach Pope.
Coach Pope.
Absolutely love those guys. And then the assistants I had at UVU,
Hmm.
all of them, two of them are associate head coaches right now, one at
Yeah.
BYU, one at Utah, and Coach Daniels is the head assistant at Weber. So I just learned from unbelievable people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's been a crazy road all the way to where you're at right now. So, well, let's talk a little bit about heading into Pineview. Again, this is you're able to coach at home now. I
Yep.
mean, this is where your family's at. This is where you guys live. So, what does that mean to you to be able to just kind of be able to commute 10 minutes from your house as
Right.
opposed to 4 hours from your house?
Yeah, so a lot of listeners might not know, but my wife, she's a superhero. So she stayed home with our 4 kids.
Mhm.
And we had 3 when we first started at Utah
Yeah.
Valley, but with our 4 kids. And I would live up north during the year. So at UVU, 4 years ago and 8 years ago, our kids were younger, so they weren't in all their club sports and stuff. So Jen would get off work on Thursday or Friday. She would drive up, stay the weekend with us, and she would come back home. So those Sunday nights were always really rough, saying goodbye. There were a lot of tearful car rides back home both ways, right? Me
Right,
back
yeah.
to where I was living, and Jen and the kids back home. And then when I went to Westminster, it was great because Division II, you can't do anything once school's out. So I was able to be home in the summertime, but during September through March, I was gone. So she was holding down the fort once again, and so that's what Caden means by working from
Yeah,
home. So
yeah.
now I'm 10 minutes from home, and I get to help out, and I get to help put the kids to bed or help with whatever needs to be done around the house. So my wife can hopefully be here working a little bit more, and I can help her out because if it wasn't for her, none of this would have been possible,
Yeah,
right?
Jen's a rock
Right.
star.
Yeah, she's the rock, and she holds it all together, and I just try not to screw it up too bad.
Now, have you reached out to Coach Eves? Have you talked to him at all and getting some information on the team that he has, now not being the head coach of?
Yeah.
Has he helped you out a little bit?
Yeah, so I guess I skipped that in my story. When I was here finishing up, I coached a year at Dixie High under Ryan Cuff, and then Tyler
Okay.
Roberts was the
Mhm.
head assistant. And then I went over to Pineview, and we actually won a state championship there.
Okay.
Coach Larson was the head coach, but Coach Eves pretty much was running the show at the time. So Coach Eves is someone I look up to a lot. This has not been easy for him, and he's someone I really appreciate.
Yeah.
So I did have a conversation with Coach Eves. He's someone, like I said, I really look up to. I'm going to lean on him a ton, as much as it is possible for him, because he still loves those kids. He still wants to be a part of it. He's built such a great program there, and the great coaches from Coach Lynn, Coach
Mhm.
John Wardenberg, and Coach Eves, like they've built this foundation at Pineview, and it's fallen off, but the steps are there. Coach Eves has shown that how we can get that back. So we're going to get it rolling. I'm going to lean on Coach Eves as much as I can. Again, as much as he's able
Yeah.
to, because he sure loves those kids, and he wants nothing but the best for those kids as well. So I'm going to lean on him and use him and help him out. And he's put together the schedule already for next year, so I think I can add 2 or 3 games. But he's done a good job with that, and he's had any questions, whether it's fundraising or practice or camps or whatever. He's willing to help me out. So he's just a great guy. He's still going to be over there at Pineview High School.
Yeah.
But just a great man and mentor for not just for me, but for the young men on the team as well.
So let's talk about the team a little bit. I know coming back, you got I would say two of the best shooters in
Yeah.
the region in Griffin Shepard and Nash Schroeder. What's it like knowing that you're going to walk into a team having two of these guys that already have such a high level of basketball IQ and talent?
Yeah, so I don't know Griff very much. This process, getting this job, man, it was a long process. It was about 3 weeks. So from actually over a month from when it opened, or from when Coach Eve stepped down. So once he stepped down, I realized it was a possibility. Started watching film. You guys at the Fan, it's awesome. You have on your app, you can go back and watch games.
Yeah,
So I
I'm
was
sure that helps,
watching,
huh?
yeah, I was watching the Pineview games. I don't have their Huddle account or anything yet, so I was watching the Pineview game, so I kind of got to know him in that way, but not really well. But Griff can score it from all three levels. He's really athletic. There's some things we're going to work on, but I think Griff can play at the next level without a doubt. He's really, I'm really excited to be able to work with him and the things that he can do and bring to the team. And then Nash, he's a coach's son. You know, Coach Schroeder at Utah Tech, the associate head coach there. He does such a good job with his son, and Nash can make every pass. He reads the floor so well. He moves defenders with his eyes. There's things that, plays that they didn't really have, and I'm like, oh man, if we had a guy rolling right there, Nash would have had an easy bounce pass. He's also can score at all three levels. He can really shoot it. Excited to get with him. So those are the only two upperclassmen I know. Again, names I'm terrible with. There was a junior last year.
You have
kid
Adam Moore that's coming back, who's pretty good.
Yeah,
He's
he
coming
can
off the
shoot it.
bench. He can shoot it.
Yep.
So that again, that's just to name a few. But yeah, there's definitely some talent there.
No, Adam's the one. I do remember that you said that name. Big time shooter, quick first step, jab, get to the hole, going either way. He spends a ton of time in the gym. So again, there's a big kid that can really shoot it that was hurt early last year. So I'm excited about that class. And then the younger class is exciting too. There's some freshmen coming up that are really special. Jelani, Caleb Schmidt. So there's some young kids that I saw that are really special too. So, but I don't think I'll be, looking back 10 years from now, hopefully I'm still around. It's not going to be graded on how I did this first year, even with that freshman class. It's going to be, did I build Pineview up the right way 10 years from now? Is there a younger program in place? Are kids wanting to be Panthers again? Because they've kind of fallen out of that. There's a new school in Crimson. Everyone wants to go to new. Dixie and Snow Canyon are winning everything. Kids are open enrollment transferring over there before they start their freshman year. So the biggest goal is to kind of recruit this kids and recruit this area and be like, hey, no, you're in this Pineview boundary. You're going to want to come to Pineview because we're going to do things this way. We're going to play really hard, and it's going to be a lot of fun doing that.
So being the PA announcer for Desert Hills High School, one of the things that I really enjoyed when Pineview came to the Thunderdome, I love how animated that Coach Eves can be on the sideline. Animated, I'm using a very nice word. How is Patrick Amico on the sideline when there's a questionable call against the Panthers?
Oh, I just go up and say, excuse me, sir. Are you sure about that? If you would have asked that 8 years ago, 10 years ago when I was at Pineview and Dixie, I think every ref in this region would have been like, he'd have been on the verge of a technical.
Right.
But, after being at the college level, and sure, Coach Pope and Coach Parrish can both get very animated or upset if a certain call that's maybe obvious from our angle, right? The refs have a different angle, isn't called. But that's one thing that going through this interview process, and again, it was a long process with Mr. Meese, who's the principal over there, Ryan Christiansen.
Yep.
He said you're going to have a lot of eyes. And so be careful how you act and react to the boys and the officials. So that'll be something I'm going to have to work on for sure. But again, these last 8 years have taught me so much of how to approach the refs. I mean, it's a game with them as well, right?
Yeah.
And you show them a lot of respect. And I think you just keep your composure, and the kids will keep their composure. But I'm not. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, Mark. So.
Yeah.
It's a ticking time bomb sometimes. You just never know. You never know. What's the excitement level like for you right now? Are you just ready to get started? Let's get in the gym.
We actually have our first open gym right now at 6:00. So if you're a Pineview boys basketball player and you didn't get the text, we're over there at 6:00 tonight. Come on down. No, really excited. So Thursday I got the call. Last week I got the call. Wasn't allowed to say anything. Friday went to the school, met with the staff or with the admins, the principals, vice principal. And then yesterday, I finally got to meet the team.
Okay.
So went to the office, and they kind of told me, like, hey, your camp schedule wiped out. Practices, nothing. You have 0 on the calendar. So good luck. So I'm like, okay,
Wow.
let's go. So I try to get a hold of the staff from last year. A couple of them are out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully get to meet the rest of them, some tonight and then one tomorrow. So I'm going to be looking to build a brand new
Sure.
staff. And then I met the players yesterday, and we had a small turnout, but I think some are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, some might, school's out, so
Yeah.
maybe they didn't hear about it, but they're going to hear about it because this excitement levels is through the roof. To tell you how it was, we met with the team. I had to go meet with the admins again. I came back in the gym, and I come walking towards the office, and I hear that ball bounce, and I'm like, no way. Go in there, and there's 4 kids in the gym. I'm like, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
And
That's all it takes.
That's
Just a
all,
couple.
yeah. They have a brand new state-of-the-art gun, which is a shooting machine.
Okay.
It's got video on it, so you can go through drills from 50 college coaches, like Coach K's on there. I mean, it's unreal. And then this locker room that was just redone last year is unreal. The coaching office, I'm like, this is better than what we had up at West Mini. Like,
Yeah.
I was so excited. So again, excitement level. How excited was I? Went home once the kids got done with their practices. It was about 8:15. I was like, Jen, let's go. We went to Pineview and we shot till about 10:30
No
in
kidding.
the gym and put some Panther shirts on the kids and
That's awesome.
and
That's so-
no, we're
that's super cool.
excited and we're ready to get to work.
What is a Coach Amico Pineview Panther team look like? What kind of offense do you run? Are you going to be hard grinding defense? Are you going to push it? Are you going to run the triangle? What kind of stuff is a Patrick Amico
Well,
Panther team?
I'm only as good as who I've learned from. So when we were at UVU, we had the #1 offensive efficiency in the country.
Okay.
They did that again at BYU and then third 2 years ago. Now those numbers are going to be really hard to do in the Big 12. So don't get excited,
Yeah.
Cougar fans. It's going to be tough making that transition. But they run an offense called pistol. It's a continuity ball screen offense where we're looking to get downhill, let the guy play. I mean, they need to be basketball players. So much of high school basketball drives me crazy because it's like they're robots.
Yes.
It's a dribble, it's a pass. Don't dribble it too much. You're over dribbling. Move here, screen there. No, we're going to let these guys play. And if they don't have it coming off the screen, we're going to get that ball moving and going. They're going to play really unselfish. We plan to play really fast. I think one of the keys for me getting this job was I've gotten to use the shot clock for 8 years.
Yeah.
These coaches here in this region have only got to use it for 1. New coaches coming in have never had the shot clock, right? So in practice, with Coach Pope, we did it at 12 seconds. So I think in the high school level, maybe 15 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to practice with a really quick shot clock because we want to get that ball moving. We're going to have 3-4 passes, get to 2-3 sides. So we want to play really fast. Defensively, kind of the same thing. I grew up in Las Vegas. I'm a big Jerry Tarkanian guy.
Oh, yeah.
UNLV is my place. So we're going to get up and pressure people and use that shot clock to our advantage. Not necessarily go for steals in the press every time, but let's make it to where they don't get that ball across till about 27, 28. Now they're scrambling, looking at coach. What are we going to get into? Then we're going to get into them because my goal at practice is to make our guys really uncomfortable because the only time you can really grow is when you're uncomfortable. If I'm just letting them do the same lazy thing every time and they're comfortable, they're not going to get better. They're only going to get better if they can be comfortable being uncomfortable. So defensively, we're going to get in, guys. We're going to try to make teams very uncomfortable in the hopes that they're not used to being pressured like that because our practices are going to be really hard, really fast, and we're going to get after it and see what we can do, and we're just going to play really hard.
I love it.
What are some of the goals this year for Pineview? Now you finished 5th in the region, 5-7. Above you was Desert Hills at 6-6, Crimson Cliffs 8-4, Snow Canyon 10-2, Dixie 11-2. They have some great juniors coming back as seniors. Owen Mackey, one of the best players.
Oh, Dixie returns
probably in the state.
5.
Dixie returns, just about everybody for sure. What would a realistic Pineview goal? What are you going to talk to about your team?
Goal number 1 is not to get fired, right? Let's make it through this first year. Don't get fired. But again, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I just love Coach Pope so much. But he used to always say, tell us what we can't do. Tell us what we can't do because that's what we're going to go do. We can't go beat Tyler Roberts and Dixie, and I love Coach Roberts. He's a good friend of mine. Tell us we can't do that because they have everyone back. They're supposed to win state. They've already got their rings. They're ready to go. Tell us we can't do it because we're going to go in the pit or go over the hanger, and we're going to get them, right? Tell us we can't make it to state because that's what we're going to do. We'll go up to UVU and make it.
Going to play the chip on your shoulder.
Absolutely. All year long, we're going to talk about big goals. We're going to set big goals, and the biggest goal is to win a state championship. And right under that's going to be win a region championship, and we're going to shoot for them. And if we fall short, our culture, it's probably my biggest key right away is changing our culture. We're going to have the best locker room in the state. We're going to have each other's back. We're going to play for each other. And if we're just short of that goal and that dream, it'll be all right because those 10, 15 guys in that locker room will love each other. They're going to have each other's back, and they're going to know that they made some great memories together, and they gave it their all. And if they put, in this day of iPhone and iPad and if they can put their individual goals to the side for the betterment of the team, it always comes back tenfold, and they're going to get repaid even more, and we're going to have a great year.
I love it.
What about Caden? Do you have anything?
No, go ahead.
I have one more question. Well, actually, and then a statement. First off, this is so new. This is the statement first. Coach Amico just has this job. He doesn't even have Pineview swag yet. He's wearing Westminster swag. Okay, I did notice that. Seriously, though, probably one of the most difficult challenges that coaches have right now, that officials have right now, administrators, athletic directors, is having to deal with parents.
Yep.
How does Patrick Amico deal with a parent that might not agree with playing time or position? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so that was, I say because my wife and I spent hours and hours and many sleepless nights going through this process of whether to take this job or not and go down this path because you look at what Doug Meacham did at Snow Canyon.
Yeah.
Wins a state title. I think he was 57-4 in 2 years.
Yeah.
And all you hear about was how unhappy those parents were over there. And they ran him out, right? You heard about the complaints at other high schools in town. I don't want to get all the ADs and everyone ticked at me already, but it's everywhere, right?
Right.
These parents are, it's everywhere. So it's really a fear. It was a fear of ours, but I've talked to great people. Wayne Alofapo, who's the head coach over at Crimson, helped me out. And he goes, so many people are like, parents, close the door, get them away from me. He's like, no, use them as your friend, as your ally, have them come in with you. So after talking with him and some other coaches, we're going to keep stats every game and every practice. Every game and every practice will be filmed. So if a parent ever has a question, as long as it's not night of the game right after the game, we can come in and watch practice. We can look at these numbers because the numbers never lie and the film never lies. And we can watch it. And if they want to sit at practice and watch practice live with us as well, they're more than welcome to come into the gym and do that. Because my staff and we're only going to play what's going to help us win, right, and develop. We're not going to play John because he's our favorite. That's not happening at any school in this town, right? All these coaches are here to win and develop these young men. So they're more than welcome to come in and talk and chat, and let's look at the numbers. Let me hear what they have wrong. But, of course, they're going to be right for their kids because just like you love your boys, I love my boys and my daughter. You'll one day see that love too. Their kid will always be the best. Right. So once you understand that as a coach, like it's just a loving parent. You know what I mean? They're not coming for my throat. They just love their kid. They've seen all the work he's put in the summer and in the off season and this and that. Of course they want him to be the superstar, but not everyone gets that role. Right. So we'll watch film and sit down and talk about it, and hopefully it can work out. And if not, Mr. Meese has been at Pineview forever. He's an unbelievable principal. He was there last time I was there. I have a ton of faith in Christian Jansen, our vice principal, former athletic director, and Paula Haas, our brand new athletic director. So I don't foresee any problems going there. Again, this is going to be a total culture change. We're going to love these young men, and we're going to have great memories. And my wife can't wait to have them over for dinner and get rolling with the season.
Oh, I'll bet. Oh, my gosh. Can you see?
Jen's going to be a good coach.
I can already tell you. Yeah.
The best.
I remember listening to a coach-parent meeting or the parents meeting for baseball. This was probably 4 years ago. Coach Allred, the basketball coach for Desert Hills, was the baseball coach at the time. And one thing that he said that has always stuck with me, and I thought, man, I wish and hope every head coach has this policy in place, is as a parent, if you want to come and talk to me about your kid, my door will always be open.
Yep.
I'm not going to talk to you about someone else's kid.
Correct.
You come in, and you talk to me about your kid, and we will talk about your kid only. And that's always kind of stuck with me, that I hope every head coach has that policy in place.
Yeah. No, agreed. I wouldn't, when I talked about parents coming in,
Yeah.
they're not going to talk about, Griff's playing time or someone
Exactly.
else's. That's
Right.
none of their business. That's about their child. Again, they love their kid.
Yeah.
They want their kid to be the best. They only want their kids to excel. So, of course, they're going to fight for them. We can watch film and go over the numbers on that.
Love it.
Love it as well. We'll let you get going. I know you got an
Okay.
open gym to get to
Let's
here
go,
in a little
baby.
bit.
Let's
so-
go.
Will you come on the show every now
Hey,
and then,
I-
talk NCAA basketball, stuff like that?
Absolutely.
All right.
I will come anytime. I love you guys and appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
Congrats
we
again. my
definitely
man.
want to wish you
Awesome.
best of luck. So, all right, we're going to head to a break. More coming up next.